Okay, so I am absolutely thrilled to be joined on Hastings Rock today with a man from one of my favourite bands of all time, the Boo Radleys, ahead of their brand new album and UK tour, where they will be playing amongst other small venues, the Piper, here in St Leonard's on the 8th of May. And I'm joined by Sice. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for
Good,
thanks for joining.
pleasure.
So I'm going to ask you a bit about the new LP and the
Mm?
tour in a second, but I'm going to take you back to the earlier years first of all, if I may.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and just on a personal level, so the first time I ever heard Boo Radleys was in the early 90s. My big brother recorded the album Giant Steps on a
Oh wow.
90-minute cassette for me. And yeah, it blew my 13-year-old mind. I'd never heard music like that before. That's sort of crossed multiple genres. And yeah, to this
Wonderful.
day, it is undoubtedly my all-time favorite record. So
Fantastic.
this isn't a question, so it's just a thank
Mm.
you for making an absolute masterpiece and one of the greatest albums of all time, in my
Oh,
opinion. So
thank you. That's
thank
really
you.
kind. Thank you. Thank you.
Um, so I note also that later this year marks 30 years since your fifth album, Come On
Mm.
Kids, was released,
Mm.
which is an LP which didn't quite have the same commercial success as the predecessor, Wake
Yeah,
Up, which of course had the huge single Wake Up Boo on it,
yeah,
which pretty much everyone on the planet knows. But it's very much a critic's choice, isn't it? And I read
mm.
recently that Nicky Wire of the Manics is a big fan, and even
Yeah,
um, Radiohead cite it as an
yeah.
influence for their OK Computer
Right.
years. Um, how does that stand in terms of when you look back at your
Mm.
older records
Mm.
in comparison to your other stuff? Is it one that you have particular treasured memories of?
Yeah, it is actually. Come on, Kids is probably my favourite of that era. Booze. I mean, I loved it because I mean, it was a strange thing. It was a very strange thing, really, in that I kind of felt it was more of the same, in that it was very more us. Whereas in the same vein as Giant Steps was, I kind of felt that those two albums probably represent us, who we are as kind of four musicians, and our interests and our loves, and what we like doing the best. I think all the sort of other albums of that 90s era, when I listen to them, I think they're trying to be something. Especially the sort of Wake Up album was trying to be something, and I think we're probably not great at that. I think probably what's better is what spills out of us, which was very much what Giant Steps was and what sort of Come On Kids was. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a disappointment for us, Giants. Sorry, Come On Kids, because we after Wake Up, when we sold a lot of albums, and we thought, brilliant, these people have all bought this album, let's give them us, they're really like us, our kind of experimentalism and the kind of off the wall stuff. And I really love that. And I guess people sort of heard it in a different way. At the time we were sort of accused of sort of being deliberately kind of obtuse, being deliberately weird, trying to scare people away, and that was just never the intention. So we were a bit surprised by that, really. And yes, I think it was a bit disappointment. I mean, I look back, and I think it kind of took the wind out of our sails a little bit. After that album, we were kind of like, but this is what we do. This is who we are. And so we were a little bit. I think we were a bit lost after that, really, about kind of, so what do we do now, kind of thing.
Yeah. Somebody has a slightly different opinion on the album. It's my daughter, actually. So
Mm.
I was listening to it at home the other day, and as she
Yeah.
walked through the kitchen when I had it on, and said that the track that I had on, which was Four Saints,
Oh yeah, yeah.
she said it sounded like the Augustus Gloop song from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which I thought, what on earth are you on about? But actually, I then listened to the Augustus Gloop song, and
Yeah.
I thought, okay, no, I kind of see what
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
But
that's the thing, that song "For Saints" is, that's the sort of, I think that's the sort of the reason why we got the Radiohead comparisons at the time, because those sorts of songs were where they were basically symphonies, where you kind of it becomes it's in four movements, and each movement is pretty much disconnected to the one beforehand, although kind of thematically there. And it was very sort of, I guess, similar to in the thinking to things like Paranoid Android, which was the sort of had that same kind of switching thing. But yeah, the Augustus Gloop, it's that marchy song. What are you
Yeah,
gonna do when it all goes down? Yeah, totally. I get
that's it. Yeah, yeah.
that.
Oh, she'll be delighted that you got that reference. That's fantastic. I'd be inclined to listen to Tom York more than I would my daughter, yeah, especially when it comes to music, to be honest. But yeah. Um,
Okay.
so the band's separated back in '99, I think it was,
Yeah, yeah.
and got back together in 2020.
Hmm.
So how did Reunited come about, and what on earth took you so long?
Um, do you know the weird thing is the reuniting happened very organically, and it wasn't something that we really sort of set about wanting to do. I think we all just felt that we were doing. We all got different careers. I retrained as a psychologist. Tim became a teacher. I think we kind of thought, well, that's it. We'll never come back. And the only way it sort of came about was that it was at my 50th birthday party. It just started. I hadn't seen Tim for ages, and we just started chatting. And he said, "I've got some songs. Do you want to sing on them?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I've got some songs. Do you want to work on them?" And that was it. It kind of it took off from there, and there was never any thought about this as a reformation. It was just, yeah, let's just do these songs. This is good fun. And then it just grew. Then once the songs were there, we were like, well, we should get Rob to play on them, and so we did. And then it was just a kind of, okay, what are we going to do with it? So there was actually a long period of kind of conversation. I think it probably germinated a lot longer than normal because we were in the middle of lockdown at the time. So that kind of slowed everything down, so we kind of had time to think about it and build up stuff. And then when it came to it was just like, well, yeah, let's just put out an album. We've got an album's worth of stuff here, let's put out an album. And then it became about well, should we do any gigs? It was that thing. And so it sort of re-sparked an interest in us that had just sort of probably been there but never really sort of really kindled into a fire before. So that's really what's happened over the last 5 years. And I
Mm,
think we surprised ourselves about how much we enjoyed it. That was
okay,
the other thing. Mm,
excellent. So your new album, In
mm,
Spite of Everything, is set to be
mm.
released this Friday. This is going out next week, so it will be this Friday on the 12th of May,
Gotcha.
which is your ninth album as a band, and
Mm,
your third since you got back together. So how are
mm.
you feeling about the record, and how does it compare to your previous work?
Um, we we really love this record. It's I think that's one of the things that always happens with bands. You always love your last record more, but this record feels very organic in the sense a bit similar to Giant Steps, Come On Kids. It feels very organic because it sort of again sort of fell out. There wasn't an intention to do something. A bit of a sad story in that this was basically written in the wake of Tim lost his eldest son through a sort of epileptic episode, and so I think at the time we weren't really doing anything, but there is sort of great comfort in music, and I think one of the things that happened is that we found ourselves writing songs again. It was something that I think that certainly Tim could turn to, and something we all felt we could turn to and put those kind of emotions into. And so I think it really feels this album feels precious for that reason. But these songs sort of fell out. It wasn't constructed with an intent. It sort of fell out, and we put them together, and it was like, okay, this is where we are. So it feels very very organic, very real, and I think we really love it for that reason. Obviously, it has a huge emotional kind of connection for us, but and kind of musically it kind of feels a bit freer than we sound a bit freer than on the last two albums, when I think we again we've probably been trying guilty of trying to construct something, whereas this just fell out, and that feels it feels nice.
Excellent, excellent.
Mm.
And I see you've recently come back from a series of gigs in France as well, and you're going back
Yeah,
there
yeah,
later this year.
yeah,
Why,
yeah.
why France? Do you have a particular good following out
We
there?
all, yeah, we did. We had a big following out there in the '90s. They France loved us. I mean, France absolutely took to giant steps in a big way,
Mm,
and we always had very sort of enthusiastic audiences over there. So it was kind of when we were given the opportunity to go again, we were kind of like, yeah, absolutely, and it's been incredible. You know, it's just been the reception's just been absolutely wonderful. We hadn't been there for 30 years. I think we all like France as a place as well. I mean, I think
mm,
that probably shows. You know, I've always it's a beautiful country. I've always loved France. It was probably the first place that we went over, so you know, we played properly abroad, so it has that real sort of closeness to our hearts about kind of what it was first like to play to sort of non-English audiences. So yeah, plus it's close as well. That's the other thing is that, you know, because Tim is now a teacher, our touring is restricted to non-teaching days, so we go over there for half term. So it's close. You know, we would like to go to Japan, but it's not really feasible when you've only got a week at a time.
no, no, absolutely. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so you're playing a tour of smaller venues
Mm, mm,
before that, including the gig here in St. Leonard's on the 8th of
yeah.
May.
Yeah.
Is there something special about playing the smaller, more intimate gigs that appeal
It
to you the
is,
band?
you know, one of the things that we've really liked, that we found when we came back is that sort of, I think when we went back on, we sort of went back on, I guess what you'd call it, the circuit, you know, the sort of the regular venues that people play. But actually, one of the things that's great about social media is that people were able to reach out to us and do and offer us smaller venue gigs, if it fitted in with us, we were kind of like, yeah, great, we'll do those. And when we started to do these smaller venue gigs, one of the things that we realized is that they have the passion and the kind of just a more welcoming feel and a love for their venue than a lot of other, I guess, I don't know how to name them. I guess the more sort of traditional venues on the circuit that sort of
Mm,
everybody goes through. So we kind of made a deliberate decision to kind of say, well, let's get a bit more off the beaten track. You know, let's go to some of these, I guess, smaller venues, but more personal venues. And they feel really, really good. I think people are very grateful when bands kind of get off the beaten track because a lot of people, you know, don't get the opportunity to have to go to London or any of the major cities. You know, if you're not near a major city, bands don't come to these places. So we're kind
mm.
of like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. You know, and so yeah, really looking forward to it. It's kind of helpful throughout May because because we're working. You know, Tim works, I work, so these are weekend gigs. So we're actually
Right.
throughout May, we're taking advantage of the May bank holidays and doing weekend gigs throughout May. So
Oh,
that'll
cool.
be I've never done anything like that before, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Mm.
you'd be going back to work afterwards. You'd be exhausted, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you give us any clues what the set list might be?
It's going to be a mix. I mean, we are going to play a bit of stuff off the new album, but we're very aware that people don't. You know, when a band's been around as long as us, people don't want to hear just your new stuff. So we literally take. I mean, we change it up a lot. We're playing a couple of things off King Size that we've never played before. There will be stuff off pretty much every album. We try to sort of do everything. Some standalone singles we'll play, but then of the newer stuff will be the newer stuff for the last 5 or 6 years. We'll be focusing on the new album. So it's a mix. I mean, we do change up the set list quite a lot, but there's something for everybody there. Hopefully,
Excellent. Well, In Spite of Everything comes out on the 1st of May, available online via the Boo Radleys store, or of course via all good record shops, of course.
indeed.
And yeah, tickets to the gig at the Piper on the 8th of May available via the Piper website. Or if Hastings Rock listeners stay tuned, there is a chance to win a couple of tickets to the gig as well. So details in a moment after I play the new single from the album, which is Bring Them Back Again. But Sice, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thanks very
Thanks, man.
much.
Really
And
appreciate it.
best of luck with the album and the tour. And I'll be down at the
Thank you.
front on the 8th of May.
See you there.
Nice
Fantastic.
one. Brilliant. Thanks very much.